Hello, it's Spellweaver, and I've brought some great news. I've decided to release a demo for Alchemist. It's free and link is in the description. Go ahead and download it. Or better yet, stay with me for now to see all the awesome new features and play the game afterwards. And know that I am eager to hear all kinds of feedback. By the way, I have a whole playlist of those devlogs from the very start if you are interested. This time, most of my work was about quality of life and visual improvements. Now the game has mouse controls for those who don't like numpads. Both for movement, though it only allows moving one square at a time, and for interface. Soft field of view. This is before, and this is after. All menus now open with a fade-in effect. Examination mode is remade to look and feel better, with animated cursor, description pop-ups, and mouse control. I rewrote all the descriptions to make them fit together with new pop-up and have all important information still there. Same for throw targeting. And have a look at this explosion, isn't it so much better than before? That's twice as true for explosive barrels. Some tiles have been updated, including obviously the player character. I fulfilled my promise to move the lab somewhere where it makes sense. Now, rather than starting with all your equipment just standing there at the crossroads, you start in the outskirts of the town near the wall, greeted by a tutorial message. There are a couple more messages like that afterwards to teach you basic mechanics. For now, you proceed to the chest near the wall and take the torches stashed inside. This introduces you to the new mechanic, illusory walls. Illusory walls now appear in the dungeon as a possible alternative to doors, and they are similar to the normal walls, except when you approach them with a light source in your hands, they dissipate. One such wall hides the passage to the lab. There is a cellar full of barrels and a room for you to perform your experiments in the safety of your temporary home. Layout changes do not end here. Dungeon entrance is remade completely. Similarly to the forest area, it applies simplex noise to define trees and grass, then it adds a ruined building and a road leading to it. Building is picked from several pre-made templates that gets ruined afterwards using another layer of noise, creating broken walls and piles of rubble. Have a look at some of the many possible variations. Inside of the dungeon there is also some more variety. Chains that used to hold prisoners once hang from the metal rings embedded in stone walls. You can take them, of course. There are now also ruined rooms and circular hallways, not to mention illusory walls, of course, another good reason to take a torch with you. Lantern is even better, as it reveals them from 2 tiles away. There are also new recipes. This noxious potion releases a cloud of poison that stays in an area for a while, poisoning any creature that gets in. Poison stacks in duration and lasts 4 turns by itself, so if a snake spends 2 turns within the cloud, it will die shortly after. It's a cost-efficient way to dispose of several enemies at once. Then there's the potion of crystallization. This one is more for fun right now, but it has some serious tactical potential. When thrown at empty space, it forms a glowing translucent crystal. The crystal is destructible, but none of your enemies are smart enough to shatter it, so it can be useful as an effective path blocker. Alternatively, when a creature is hit by this potion, it gets covered in crystal and frozen for up to 60 turns, or until it takes damage. Flying creatures, in particular, lose the ability to fly, as their wings no longer function, and fall down, taking damage in process. For more fun, there are also new tools now, 2 sets of gloves. Protective gloves extend your throw range by 2, making it reach almost the edge of your line of sight. Sinister gauntlets instead increase your melee damage by 1. This is probably as far as I am willing to go with boosting the character's melee capabilities. After all, as I said, you are not meant to attack your enemies in melee, and those gauntlets do not change that, though they help when fighting off a single battle snake. Both of those are relatively expensive and will probably be even more expensive in full game, since they are basically permanent upgrades. Of course, as you'd expect, you can only wear one pair at a time. Another important quality of life addition is options menu. There is a bunch of potentially useless settings there, and more will be added as game develops. For instance, you can disable tutorials or choose to reset them every new game, as normally a game remembers which ones you've already seen before. Or you can remove hotkey hints from the screen if they annoy you. Or maybe you play on a 10-year-old laptop and wouldn't want to overheat the poor thing. Or have a tendency to accidentally punch yourself, as did my playtesters. There's also Cheats tab that I wouldn't want to add, but I know someone out there will thank me for it. God mode is self-explanatory, and Infinite Lives mode makes it so that instead of restarting the whole game, you are transported to the starting location with full health and no further penalties. Obviously, none of them is meant for a normal gameplay experience. And the last option exists so that I could take a screenshot for my YouTube banner. As it is now, the game is a small sandbox. I welcome you to download it and have fun trying it out. My playtesters so far have, without exception, enjoyed burning down the forest. Thank you to everyone who expressed interest in my project throughout all this time. The last month has been really stressful for me. I was working non-stop on all the issues I was postponing before, aiming to release a demo that wouldn't cause pain to people playing. And when I thought I was done, and was writing down the attributions of the art assets used, I suddenly learned that Unbound Tile Set, where I took a couple of tiles from, wasn't actually licensed under Creative Commons. And since I would have to replace those tiles sooner or later anyway, I decided to do that right now, and spent last 2 days making the replacement. So I guess you can imagine how I feel right now. I have recently set up a coffee page for those who might want to encourage me, no pressure of course. The game is still far from complete, and there is a long way ahead. Next feature I'm planning will be a travel system to reach areas far from the town, to allow for potentially infinite number of available locations to be placed in the world. See you next time, and I hope you have fun with Alchemist.